Isa is an icon because you only got to say the word Isa and people know what it is, and I think that's come through the strength of an isolated community, and it's still isolated in terms of regionalisation, and so there's a certain camaraderie that develops within the town. It's a friendly town, it's a social town. People work hard and play hard, and that hasn't changed. We celebrated 85 years last year, and for a mine to be in existence for that long is quite amazing. Most mines have fairly finite lives, and they don't last that long usually. The way that mine and the town have developed over that period of time, and the tight-knit community that's there, and it has a flavour of its own. In 1937, I think there were about 1,000 people working on the site, and at that stage it was small mining. As the mine then progressed, it went into larger scale underground mining, and primarily doing the lead zinc. What happened then is that the lead zinc mining was put on hold, and they started to mine copper for the war effort. After the war, they went back to the silver lead zinc mining, and it really wasn't until later on that the copper really realised value. But once the copper was seen as a value opportunity, that's when the real growth of Mount Isa Mines occurred, and so did the profitability. And that's been maintained to today. I think one of the strengths of Mount Isa Mines has been that the key leaders of the organisation have always had a connection with the town. So they haven't managed the site from a capital city. They've actually managed the business on site. So they have an engagement with what happens day to day within the community as well as the mining operation. And the decision making that can occur when you have that is quite strong, because you understand your business, because you live there, you work there, and I think that was a strength and I think it's still a strength today, because under the leadership of Xstrata, we still maintain that philosophy of our key managers living on site and living in the operations that they manage. A lot of the mining that occurred at Mount Isa over time allowed new mining methods to be developed. What we call MICAF mining, which is, and that was named after Mount Isa cut and fill. It's a large way of taking the minerals out. Benching is a mining method that's now used globally to mine large areas underground, and sub-level open stoping, which is a method that allows holes in the ground to be developed that are very large. Many other technology, Isa smelt, which is our smelting process, was developed in Mount Isa, and that is also sold around the world. Our cathode copper processing, which is called the Isa process, and that process now probably represents around 40% of the world's refining capacities. Its long history of developments in the mining side of the business just make it iconic. If you just track what's occurred at that site and how things grew, and just that continuing output from the mine and its diversification into other parts of Queensland, and just the revenues that were raised by government assets like the rail and things like that have allowed Queensland to expand in other areas. The value add that it's also provided to the Queensland government over that 85 years. Okay, in the early days it probably didn't add too much value, but in the more recent times, in the last 50 years, the value that it's added to the Queensland economy, and I think last year we had a value of about $1.9 billion just out of Mount Isa. It's been a fantastic story, and I think that story still continues, and I think that's what Mount Isa has been able to contribute to Queensland.